Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning, and welcome back to Cannon Fodder featuring Gooner Matterz. Now you could see my surroundings is not the same as normal. It is this different area where I'm at. You'll probably find there's a bit of background music, but this is the situation. Arsenal. We talk about Arsenal, and I have so many things that I have in my mind with regards to our season. I'm not going to go through the whole season. I'm going to start in February, specifically the game between Arsenal versus Manchester City in the Premier League on the 15th of February. Now, we went into that game very confident. At home, we played well. We got a penalty, and then of course City happened, and City ran away with the game 3-1. Now since then, we played Aston Villa thereafter. So the score for Aston Villa was 2-4. Then we played Leicester 0-1. Then we played Everton 4-0. Then we played Bournemouth 3-2. Then we played Fulham 0-3. And then we played Crystal Palace 4-1. We played Leeds 4-1, and then we started with Liverpool at 2-2, West Ham 2-2, and Southampton 3-3. And then again we had City 4-1. Now there's 10 games unbeaten run in the Premier League since the City 15th February up until City the 26th of April. 10 games unbeaten, and in between there we've got a 2-2 draw and a 1-1 draw with Sporting in the home and away leg of the Europa League. Now, we've had a good run up until the City game. Well, you can argue the fact that Liverpool and West Ham and Southampton was bad games. Yes, we all know that. We didn't have a blip. We broke it into a situation where we just gave up, really. And then after the City game, we had Chelsea 3-1 at home, and then we went away to Newcastle 2-0, and Brighton at home 0-3, and then of course we went to Forest 1-0, and the last game of the season 5-0. Now, this is where the scenario comes in. After City, we convincingly won Chelsea 3-1, and we convincingly beat Newcastle 2-0. And here's the thing. This is the scenario and the thought that I had in my mind. Brighton and Forest. And please guys, this is something that you need to understand. It is not factual, and it's not reported, but there's a lot of gambling in football or in sport. There's a lot of unrecorded gambling. And we know of one Premier League player that has now just been banned for 8 months, which is Ivan Toney, and that is the one part of the gambling which is a problem. But then there is also talks of gamblers that goes into teams. Players get red carded or yellow carded and losing games and that sort of thing. Now, in my mind, I can't forget about the gambling part of the football in England. I can't not mention this, and this is the thought that I had. Is it a thing where somebody in Arsenal, whether it's the team, whether it's the manager, whether it's certain players in the team, whether it's the directors or whoever it might be, has come and said, the Brighton and the Norwich game, that is the game that we could still win. It's winnable games. But if you look at the Brighton game specifically, and it's at home, I saw moments in the game where we just didn't turn up completely. We didn't turn up at all. And that is not Arsenal this whole season. Now people can argue these fatigue, there's tactics, there's this and that. Now if you want to call it tactics, the tactics didn't change completely this whole season. And this is the thing. Are we just going to leave it at that it's tactics? Are we just going to leave it at the team is fatigued, or are we just going to leave it at the situation of bottling it? But are we not asking the questions in terms of why? What happened? Who's to blame? Who's responsible for it? Now this is my question. Isn't it not possible that somebody in the team or in the club or in the management staff that had a hand in this where it concerns gambling? Did we throw those 2 games and handed it to City? Because if you look at it, 2 games prior to Brighton coming to Arsenal at the Emirates, was Chelsea at the Emirates and Newcastle away. Convincing wins. It was wins that was said, this is the test. If we win those games, we can easily go win the last 3 games. And that was all the talks in the Arsenal camp. But I think, and the question that I have is, who is responsible for throwing those games? Now this is where it gets serious. Did Arteta throw the games by sticking to or rather this is the situation that has happened. Thomas Partey played at right back, totally out of position. Jakub Kiwior played at left back, and we have a left back on the bench. And we had played Kiwior in right centre back, and obviously we had Ben White on his normal place for the season and right back. So there already it sort of brings a mind-boggling thought is, why change it drastically like that since you've got a left back in Kieran Tierney on the bench and you have a centre back which is left-footed that can play at right centre back. But you put a midfielder on right back, didn't do too bad, but we got found where Brighton has just contained us with, I think at one point, 83% of the possession, and it can't be Arsenal Football Club to give possession away at 83% at one stage. Which brought the question to my mind is that, did Arteta do this to hand the title to City? Because that game was the scenario where we have to get 3 points and put pressure on them. And then of course we went to Nottingham Forest and gave it all up again. Yes, we don't take anything away from Brighton and don't take anything away from Nottingham Forest, but it still brings the question to my mind is, did Arteta throw the game to hand it to City? Let that obviously mull in your mind. Let it mull in your mind and apply your mind to the question and look at the scenarios and the games, the moments in those games where we had the opportunities, where we had the possibilities in winning those games, those winnable games. We've won those 2 teams very comfortably. We won Nottingham Forest at home in the first round of the season. Let me just check what was the score there. Bear with me. Bear with me, bear with me. That was one of the first games that we had. We won Nottingham Forest 5-0 at home, and we went to the Amex and we beat Brighton 4-2, and then in the return fixture, we gave it away 3-0 to Brighton and 1-0 to Nottingham Forest. So if I look at all those scenarios and all those moments in the games, it begs the question to be asked: who has thrown the games to hand City, the league, the Premier League? So if you look at it, with the Brighton game, we could still make up 6 points, where City had to obviously lose 1 and draw 2. Before they kicked the ball with Chelsea, they won the league because we've given it away at the Nottingham Forest game. But prior to that, we had it all to play for. So in my mind, that is where I'm at. I'm not making any justifications in terms of how the league should have been. Yes, we've lost quite a bit. We've lost quite a bit in terms of our games management against Liverpool, against West Ham, and against Southampton. But we picked it up there after City. We picked it up again, and yet we go and throw it away. So that is my scenario and my thought pattern. Take nothing away from the teams we've played, take nothing away from the team of Arsenal that have played the whole season, but it does not add up at the end. And I mean, there's so many excuses that can be used. Is that the young players are not used to fighting at the back-end business end of the season, or we didn't have depth. Yes, that's all things that sort of gives us the idea that we've given up. Also the fact that I've said before that we were so afraid to win the league and that we couldn't handle it. But it could go deeper than that. And this is the sort of questions that I ask myself. And I thought I'll put it out there and ask the fans, what is your thoughts? Could it be a situation of gambling? Could it be a situation of just the alliance between players and managers of previous clubs? Or what is it? Is it just plain fact that we've given up? We didn't have too much, we didn't have enough? What is it? But the question still begs to be asked. Was the league thrown and handed the Premier League to City? That is the question. Leave your thoughts, your comments in the comments section.